Hey, so glad you're with us on Conquering Retirement. Brad Johansson with Northern Alliance Financial. Lance Gilman, the president and CEO. Jeremy Barnard joining us as well. Gentlemen, always great to be back with you.
I love it.
Time just flies, Brad.
It just flies, man.
We're just here.
And then we're back for another show.
We're back for another show, and you are back for some more education. Because the bottom line is, how do we figure this out when nobody told us how to do it? You've been doing it for 30, 40 years, what you've been doing, and then you say, all right, now it's time to retire. How do I do this and make sure the money's going to last? We're going to try and help you again one more time on this program to conquer your retirement, refinancing your retirement, and maybe getting into the idea of that refinancing. What the heck is that supposed to mean? If I go into refinancing, I'm usually thinking about my home, all right? I want interest rates to go down when I refinance my home. I would like interest rates to go down when I'm refinancing my car. Well, I'd keep waiting for the interest rates to go down, and I've been waiting for all of this. We've been sitting at a high water level for a lot of interest rates, which gives us opportunity. The idea is things haven't changed, so how do I refinance my retirement? Lance, take me into that idea, maybe as an entree of what makes sense for me if I'm looking at refinancing my retirement while my interest rates are sitting where they're sitting.
Yeah, so basically, as you mentioned, a lot of times when you're looking at refi opportunities, you're looking for house opportunities. And so typically when you see that interest rates have dropped 2 percentage points, like if your mortgage rate was at 6% and they dropped to 4%, that's an opportunity to refinance.
I'm jumping.
Right, we're jumping. But if they're at 5, we're not jumping. Why? Because there's costs associated with refinancing. In a very similar fashion, what we're talking about here, it's kind of the flip side of that. Well, if fixed rates are high and it's propelling mortgage rates and interest rates on credit cards and interest rates on car loans and et cetera to be high, what's happening also is the fixed rates of things like CDs and multi-year guaranteed annuities and other things are rising as well. And what's happened over time is that fixed rate is now up to a level we haven't seen in decades. And so let's say you've got a low interest bearing savings account, which many people do out there, that's giving you 0.05% or whatever it is, nothing, next to nothing. Well, if we can get a rate that's 4.5%, 5%, 5.5%, pushing 6%, we're going to want to take a look at that. But most people don't think about that. When they're talking about refinancing, they're talking about refinancing debt.
That's right.
But we're not talking about refinancing debt. We're talking about refinancing your portfolio so that it can earn you more money.
Okay. So that gives me an idea that I should start changing my thinking on this. The refinancing your retirement starts maybe in a bank account, maybe in something else. Are there multiple things that I have to start rethinking, rewiring my brain while I'm sitting in this spot of I'm going to end the job thing and start the retirement thing?
Yeah, really, ultimately, any savings vehicle is something to revisit. If you've got an old vehicle, whatever that might be. Bank CD is a classic example. If you have an older bank CD, you are lucky to get 1%. But even right now, you can still get maybe 4.5% interest on a CD. But there are different types of vehicles that you could also pay attention to. Old annuities are a great example. Old annuities written with low interest rate environment. When we're now in this higher interest rate environment, the rates can be, relatively speaking, astounding. Far, far better. Again, just like a bank CD, 1% to 4.5% is pretty astounding. Annuities have that same benefit of existing in this higher interest rate environment and being able to pass along pretty substantial, very significant rates of return with no risk.
All right. While we're on it, if you're okay with this, and I may be deviating, but I want to hit on annuities because annuities have become extremely popular. Either popular in those who say that this is a huge benefit, or popular to the point of people saying, why is everybody trying to sell me an annuity? Stay away from these things. When you say that there are astounding levels of earning now, let's get into why this has become such a popular thing. And for people who have purchased them 10 years ago and said, this was horrible for me. It didn't make me any money. It wasn't a good thing. I got talked into it. And if you're talking about it now, I'm getting talked into something that, well, this is the basic understanding of refinancing your retirement, because the rates that you were at 10 years ago are not the rates that you have right now. And because of that, you have greater benefit. Yes?
100%. And, to judge an old annuity in today's environment is kind of apples and orange kind of comparison. Compared to bank CDs back 10 years ago, those annuities are probably still really, really good. Getting back to why I think we should talk about annuities and think about them is there are good annuities and bad annuities, in my opinion. The good annuities are identical to bank CDs, except that they touch the stock market. And I like to talk about it like that all the time. It's a bank CD that touches a stock index. If it's the Dow Jones or S&P 500, whatever it would be, a bank CD offers you protection from loss. So can these new annuities. You get compounding growth in a bank CD. Same thing with these annuities, compounding growth year after year. The difference being, we're not relying on the bank and federal interest rates to dictate what the bank CD rate is. We're depending on the stock market and stock indexes to provide performance and growth, which can be substantially more, many more years than not. So, there's a place for that.
And the interesting thing about annuities is because you hear the word and people say, well, I'm staying away from that.
Yeah.
Okay, you staying away from your Social Security?
Right, exactly, because that is an annuity. Exactly.
Will you stay away from a pension? Your pension was annuity.
Correct.
Yeah.
The basis of all of this is semantics for some people because it just sounds bad. And the idea that it's built around exactly what you said, Jeremy, is a guaranteed part of income where we create a basis.
Right.
And you get to step up. You can participate, but you don't get any of the losses. This is what we've talked about in previous shows of asset preservation.
Well, not only that, but there are good annuities and there are bad annuities, just like there are good cars and there are bad cars. What gives annuities, I think, a bad name, Brad, is something called variable annuities. And variable annuities can gain and they can lose, and they come with exorbitant fees that you're paying to somebody that sold that to you. The only thing we do with variable annuities is move people out of them.
Yeah,
That's true.
All we deal with is fixed annuities. Annuities that you were just talking about. Social Security is an annuity. A pension is an annuity. It's a guaranteed something, source of income or source of return for either your life or some period certain. Guarantees are huge in an uncertain market. And we are in an uncertain market right now.
Yeah.
So when we're talking about things like fixed annuities, there are three different buckets of fixed annuities. One is just a straight guarantee, like Jeremy mentioned in the beginning, which is similar to a CD on steroids. Most of the guaranteed annuities that we have right now are in 3 and 5 year terms, and they're pushing 5.5% or more. So usually a percentage or a percentage and a half over whatever the banks are offering. It's guaranteed. It's contractual. There are no fees. I had somebody that was watching this show, it's about last year sometime, when the fixed rates kept going up and up and up and up.
Yeah.
And I think we were on a show together, and you said, where do you think they're going to plateau out? And I said, I think they're going to plateau out around 6. And the person that was watching the show said, I'm watching the show. I've been watching the show for 3 years. And we have many loyal listeners that have been watching us for many, many years since we've been broadcasting. And Lance has made a number of predictions in the past couple years. Every one has come true. I mean, I'm not, a fortune teller, and I don't have a crystal ball. We've talked about this, Brad. But he said every prediction I made came true. And so he said, if those rates hit 6%, have Lance call me. So guess what, Brad?
You made a phone call.
I made a phone call. He said, you're calling me. I said, yes, I am calling you. He said, well, I guess that means the rate hit 6%. I said, yes, they did hit 6%. He said, I'm sending you a check. I said, okay. So you don't know, checks in the mail, right? The proverbial checks in the mail. Well, guess what? The check came the following week. $2 million check. $2 million in a 6% guarantee for 7 years. He locked it in for 7 years, Brad. $120,000 of interest every year for 7 years, $840,000 of interest, and at the end, guaranteed contractually, no fees, and at the end of the 7-year period, he gets his $2 million back. Now, what's wrong with that guarantee?
Mm-hmm.
Well, and not a lot of people are in that chance to write a $2 million check.
Sure.
But what if you are in a spot that you would say, at some point, I need guaranteed money. I don't need the income right now, but this is something that I probably need to protect. And I haven't investigated all of this. And I hear some of the things that you're saying, and maybe it's different than your advisor has been telling you. Maybe your advisor hasn't been telling you any of this, and you continue to watch the program, as Lance says, for over and over and over again, wondering whether or not you're going to learn something that your advisor isn't telling you. Maybe just now it's time for a second opinion, to come in for a complimentary written financial plan. Maybe the idea is just to get an analysis. Maybe there's other things that I don't know, that I haven't been told, that are options for me right now. 877-241-7430 is the number to call, or scan the QR code on your screen. Coming in, get you a copy of Lance's book. All of these things are in here. And maybe you get a few more predictions from Lance that you can take with you on all of this. Make the call, 877-241-7430. Let's conquer your retirement right now. Be right back.
Our team at Northern Alliance is very diverse in terms of the services that we offer.
We do take a team-based approach.
We carry multiple licenses so that clients can do everything within the Northern Alliance financial team.
If it has anything to do with retirement, that's what we specialize in.
Budget planning, tax considerations, Social Security strategies, risk management, long-term care, Medicare, health planning, as well as legal and estate planning.
We really are a one-stop shop.
There's Lance, Gilman, Peter Hansen, Jeremy Barnard, myself. We do have a staff that is great.
In Maine, we have multiple locations to cover the vast array of the state.
You know, you can come in and have a conversation in person. And a lot of people are looking for these days. Things after COVID have changed to more Zoom, phone call sort of things. And we'll do those things, but we appreciate and would rather have you come in person and have a conversation face to face like this.
We're pretty approachable, and we're going to listen to you. We're going to try to determine what your needs, your aspirations, those goals are, and then we're going to do everything that we possibly can to help you meet those goals.
It's lighthearted, it's carefree. We laugh like crazy. An atmosphere that I don't think is common in a lot of other practices.
We were talking about how well the team is bonding together, how similarly we all think in that what we do, we want to actually make a difference.
Average, everyday people helping average, everyday people.
You know, we truly do put the client first.
Our mantra has been, when you take care of people, people take care of you.
Glad you're with us on Conquering Retirement. Brad Johansson along with Northern Alliance Financial, Lance Gilman, Jeremy Barnard. We're kind of talking about how we do this whole thing while the interest rates are where they are, while we're unsettled, while we're uncertain of where we are. Let's talk about the rates and where they are and maybe some of the negatives and the positives. Lead off, Jeremy, with is there a list of negative things that we have as we're looking to refinance our retirement with the rates where they are right now?
I mean, the biggest negative for the average everyday American is that their existing debt is more expensive.
Yeah.
So ultimately, it's less money in your pocket every single month. One of the things I'm looking forward to, hopefully, and Lance maybe make a prediction on this one, of course, about interest rates reducing at the federal level. At some point, that's going to create downward pressure on existing rates for debt. And then we're going to hopefully see a whole glut of refis, be it homes and also vehicles.
Sure.
Vehicle interest rates debt is really, really high.
Yeah.
So the average American is going to refi their debt. They're going to get a lower monthly payment, meaning more money in their pocket. Banks are also going to collect all those fees from those refis. It should be a wonderful stimulus for the overall economy. I'm looking forward to that. at some point that downward pressure is going to create a really wonderful environment for everyday consumers, but also the overall economy.
Yeah.
Are there other negatives that we're attaching our things to? And maybe we stay away from what the negative is, because that's what we do on the what ifs is, well, the other shoe's going to drop. It's always going to get worse. Maybe we start to focus on what the positive things are, and we did that a little bit with the annuity market and where we are right now.
Yeah.
The thing is that when we have struggles, products are then created to deal with those struggles, which make things a little bit more easy. Are there more positives about where we are in trying to refinance and looking for the idea of how do I, because we've talked about this on other shows, how do we maximize and optimize the situation that I'm in right now to make the most of what I'm living with, because this is what I can control? Give me some of the positives on that.
Well, I think one of the major things, and I talk about it in the book pretty readily, that the number one objective that people really should be looking for is to try as soon as they possibly can to get out of debt. So if you have, let's say, a high interest bearing credit card or a high interest bearing loan that's out there, if you pay higher principal payments to that, you're going to get out sooner. So let's say you've got to make a payment once a month, and that payment for your credit card is whatever it is, 19%. So what if you make an extra principal payment halfway through the month? Whatever you just took of that money and put it towards that extra principal payment, you made 19.5% interest on that. Now, we don't think of that, but that's a reverse thinking, because you're not paying interest on that.
Yeah.
Same thing with your home mortgage, same thing with auto loans. If your interest rates are high, if you make extra principal payments and you get yourself out of debt, you're actually earning more in the long run. And you're getting yourself down to an operational need in your retirement. Why? Because you have no debt. Hugely, hugely important.
I think to add on to that too, Lance, that when debt is so expensive right now, especially people got credit card debt, 19% is extremely low.
Low in today's.
It's in the high 20s, 30s.
They're almost 30, yeah.
So what I like about this, to put a positive spin on that, is that people who are out of debt, it's much more conscious of an effort. Like, do I really want to spend this on the credit card? Because that interest rate is insane, and I don't want to pay that interest rate. It's one of the positives, psychologically speaking. Holy smokes, this thing's clearly going to cost me a ridiculous amount if I spend it. Do I really want it, or can I postpone it until I can save for it and buy it without going into debt?
Good point.
There's a positive side to it.
Yes.
This is kind of a timing thing that you will constantly do within plans that you're putting together with people. The timing matters, and I know everybody likes to say, well, I was really good at timing the market.
Right.
Okay. For 15 years, people were able to do very well in the market. And then in 2022 hit, and there was there's a little hiccup. Then we got 2023 and 24. And then we get a new president back in who was an old president back in, and those who backed that said, now everything's going to be glorious, and all of our financial dreams are going to come true. And then 2025 hit, and then April of 2025 hit. There's uncertainty to the idea of what you guys are doing in putting together financial plans for people is dealing with the uncertainty. And now we have to change from let's get out of debt to let's progress to a point of understanding how to refinance what we have in our binder here, because adjusting is the whole point of all of this. Seeing this to the end of 2025, I don't know if you want to make a prediction about where we're going to the end of 25, how the market's going to look, or what everything's going to do. Are we going to be out of war? Are we going to have peace all over the world? We're in a situation now, creating a what if is part of the refinancial plan, correct?
Absolutely. 100%. And here's the thing. What we may not know what the end state of things are going to be in 2025, but we know what's happening right now. And the fixed interest rate right now is 5.5% of tools that we have available right now. What's the general rule of thumb? 4%. In other words, you could take 4% out of your portfolio, you should be able to take 4% out of your portfolio and never tap into the principal of that portfolio indefinitely over time. Well, the fixed rates right now are 5.5%. So what we do is we take some of that money that might have been in the previous 60-40 portfolio, was 60% of our assets were in stocks and 40% in bonds. Maybe we take that 40% that we would have put in bonds and we put it into a guaranteed 5.5%, Brad.
Yeah. I think it's important to note too, what is a bond? A bond is a debt. So, we want to really look at our bond portfolios. A lot of people get into bonds for the safety of it, not realizing they might be sacrificing a tremendous amount of growth potential, or none at all. I see it all the time, and I'm sure you do too, Lance, where we do a portfolio analysis and we see, $50,000, $100,000 in a bond portfolio. A lot of them have done very, very low growth over the past 5 years, but still went down really bad in 2022.
Yeah.
It's questionable. It's something to look at for sure.
Because it has to be in your plan, and the idea is this may raise more questions than you even thought you had, because the idea is this is what they do every single day, is adjusting to conquer your retirement. Maybe it's time to make the call. Maybe it's time for a second opinion. Maybe your advisor has never spoken to you about any of these. Maybe you'd just like a copy of the book. Come in for that. But come in for a complimentary plan so that you can put a retirement together that answers all your questions for the what ifs. 877-241-7430. Scan the QR code. Make the call now. Don't wait any longer. 877-241-7430. Back right after this.
The work never seems to end until the day it finally does. After nearly a lifetime on the job, you should be rewarded for all the time you spent working. Whether that's crossing off items on your bucket list, learning a new passion, or rekindling the love of an old one. After all, life isn't over when you stop working. It's the start of an all-new chapter. The one where you're the writer and you get to choose how your story will go. A way to achieve that is by having a clear financial plan to sustain your golden years. The biggest fear most retirees have is if they'll have enough money to maintain the lifestyle they've always enjoyed. Having a plan to help protect you against the curveballs life often throws will help to maintain your lifestyle. Call today to get your free written financial plan so you may live every day to the fullest and enjoy the retirement of your dreams.
So glad you're with us. Conquering Retirement. Brad Johansson with Northern Alliance Financial. Lance Gilman, Jeremy Barnard. They've been dealing with you all over the state for a long time. And for a lot of you, you've been watching for a long time and sitting and waiting. I wonder if I learned something today. Yeah, probably you have, because education is at the heart of all of this. The idea is you have to do something about it. You've had clients come in and finally when they walked in, they do something about it. Give me an idea what that looks like, Jeremy.
Yeah, I mean, I recently had a client come in. They had a portfolio, sizable portfolio, of a little over $1 million. They're looking at retiring, and they wanted to just have some tax information. They didn't want to talk about anything else. They didn't want to talk about their stock portfolio. They're very happy with their 401ks and their advisor who they had with another company. And it was just shocking to me when I dove into it. I was like, listen, I'm not asking, but you got it here. Would you like a second opinion on this overall portfolio? I see some bonds in here. And it's always a red flag for me. And not that there are some bonds that might be okay and have a place. In this situation, it was just a little bit of a red flag for me. And I evaluated their $500,000 bond portfolio has been negative 1% for the past 5 years. And I have to say, I kind of launched in the meeting with the clients, and it always gets my blood boiling now. Like, how is it that somebody ends up in a portfolio for 5+ years that is not only not growing, but going down, and you think just the opposite?
And somebody's advising them on that.
Yes, and nobody's talking to them about the fees. Nobody's talking to them about how the portfolio is actually invested. Nobody's talking about that bonds are debts and whether or not we should look at that when we're in a rising interest rate environment. No, everything's fine. Everything's hunky-dory. You're doing great. You're doing great. Their statements are so misleading that they believe those kind of statements. And then when they come to us as fiduciaries, who we don't exaggerate things, we go by the numbers, we show you what you've got, we then have to sometimes burst the bubble for people and say, I'm sorry to say, like, this isn't quite as good as you think it is. And you got $1 million portfolio, and the worst part for these clients, it's 5 years of missed opportunity.
Oh, yeah.
You know, the portfolio went down, but you missed all kinds of high points. I know 2022 happened, but you know, there's so many good years in between there. And it breaks my heart to see this couple who worked hard, who sacrificed, who trusted their 401k plan, you know, who even knows who that person is. It's a nobody. Certainly nobody's guiding and directing people. And it's so heartbreaking. This one-on-one approach that we take guides people and hopefully protects people, that this never happens to another person. I don't know why 401ks can get away with it. We take a very different approach. One, we have to, but two, because we care, and we sit across the table from people and we look them in the eye and say, this is why this is good. Boom. And do with it what you will, but we'd like to have you on as a client and help you out, because that might not always stay the same. And when it changes, so will our plan.
Yeah, 100%.
An honest approach.
Absolutely.
A little different. The idea is you have people in every day who are looking maybe for something a little bit better, but they're looking for somebody to trust and tell them the truth.
Yeah, absolutely. And basically somebody that's going to work with them through this whole comprehensive planning process.
Would you also say, too, I feel like this whole system sometimes is geared for the complete opposite of that trust. Why is it that somebody can't look at their financial statement and understand what the heck's going on? Why is it?
I know, that's true. It's like, what does this actually say?
Why do we have software?
Why is it like Greek?
Yeah, it's Greek. We have software that we sometimes have to give to our staff to help us interpret it. You and I, after we've seen thousands of these statements, I can't always make heads or tails of their statement. It's mind-boggling to me.
From these companies.
It's unnecessary. We can get down to the nuts and bolts of the portfolio very quickly for people and make sure their retirement goes the way they think it's going to.
You want it to be simple? Make the call. 877-241-7430 for a complimentary comprehensive retirement plan. Maybe you have somebody that you like. Wouldn't you have somebody that you can trust? Wouldn't it be nice to make the money last until your last breath? Time to call. Scan the QR code. Thanks for spending time here. Now spend a little time in the office. Help yourself. Make the call. We'll see you right back here next time. Thanks for joining.